Hey Gemini, it's Suzanne with Sunny Forest Tarot here to do a a monthly reading for you for February 2021. All right. So this is going to be an intuitive reading, which means I'm not making any designations for each of the cards. It's just whatever story comes out, okay? And we'll see what's coming out for you in February. Okay. And then we're going to use some oracle cards too. If you hear like whooshing in the background, truly it's the wind. Like we're getting like 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. And I don't care about that. I love the sound of wind. What I do care about is losing power. So, which seems to happen quite often here. So hopefully we'll get to keep our power. All right, so this deck here is, I forgot the name of it, but I know it has the word cosmic in it. So this particular card is representing a message from the universe for you for February 2021, okay? All right. And then the second card here is from the Soul's Journey deck. And this is telling us what lesson maybe you should take a look at in February, or maybe something you're already aware of. Okay. And then finally, the Romance Angels deck. So if this reading happens to be primarily about romance, you know, we'll see what the Romance Angels have to say about that. All right. All right. So the first card here has the most significance. Okay. It leads the reading. Eight of Cups. Okay. So what does the Eight of Cups say? The Eight of Cups says that yes, you could be considering walking away from something or somebody or a situation. But just as much as it's about walking away from something, it's, you know, this guy here, he knows where he's going. Okay, he's just not walking out into the wilderness and saying, okay, you know, what's for me out here? He knows where he's going. So if you're considering walking away from something or walking away from somebody, it's probably not random. You know why you're leaving and you know where you're going, what you're moving towards. Now, sometimes the Eight of Cups can mean that you might do a circle right back to where you started. This could be about somebody walking away from you or leaving you. But I feel for the majority of you, it's about you walking away from somebody. And the question that this poses is, do you know, first of all, why you're doing it, why you're walking away? I feel like that's important. This shouldn't happen on a whim. This shouldn't happen, you know, during a fight. This shouldn't happen during, you know, an explosive emotional state. It should happen under calm and determined, you know, a determined emotional state. Doing this when you're not calm or doing this when you're not in a good mental state almost is always a mistake or a bad decision, okay? So that's, you know, that's kind of the theme for February. What is it that you're walking away from and why? And do you know where you're going, or do you know what you're headed towards? So let's see what else we have. All right, so we've got the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so This definitely might have to do with work, but it also could be saying with the Eight of Pentacles, the reason that you're doing this is because you're asking what's working for me and what's not working for me. Okay, and if this is relationship, when something isn't working, you kind of know it. You kind of know it. And once you have that thought once you have the thought that something isn't working once, it usually comes up again. And there's a reason that it comes up again. That's your intuition talking to you. You know, I think I've said it a couple of times, whether it's been a relationship for me, whether it's been a job for me, once I have that feeling like, I don't know if this is for me anymore, I don't know if this is working, it never seems to diminish. It only seems to get bigger until that situation leaves me or I leave that situation. And, you know, and it's something that I used to fight. I used to try to convince myself, well, shoot, I don't want to leave this. You know, this brings ease to my life. Or I don't want to leave this person because, you know, they do X, Y, and Z for me, and I love those things, but I don't really care for A, B, and C that they do. It's like if you're not all in, you're out. You know, in a lot of my personal readings lately, that comes up. It's like, have you really given something 100% of yourself? If you've given something 100% of yourself, it's much easier to come to this conclusion if something isn't working. Okay? If you haven't given 100% of yourself, or you know you haven't, or you have held back things that you've wanted to say, or things that you've wanted to do, then it's harder to do this because on some level you know you haven't given it 100%. And that's where I feel a lot of people get stuck in certain relationships because they're waiting for somebody else to give them 100%, or they're waiting for their company or whatever to give 100%. When in actuality, what the universe is waiting for from you is that you give 100% to it, because that makes decisions much easier. Because you know that you've given 100% to what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's a relationship, job, whatever. If you don't give 100%, then there's room for question. There's room to get stuck. So I feel like this is speaking to that, this Eight of Pentacles. Are you giving 100% in your job? Are you giving 100% in your relationship? Or are you holding back parts of yourself? Is that inner voice just starting to creep up on you and say, this isn't for me, this isn't for me? Get out. Go in another direction. You know, if that voice speaks to you more than you, and that actually diminishes how much you're giving to something, it's probably not the right thing for you. Okay, what else do we have here? Three of Pentacles. It's come up a lot in this position. So I feel like, you know, this could be, again, it could be work, it could be relationship. Who are you talking to about this? Who are you talking to about your situation? Is it something that you're, you know, really delving deep within yourself about and just trying to figure out on your own? Or is it something that you're gaining a lot of opinions about? It feels like the opinions that you're getting is to stay put. Give it another try. Give it another shot. See what happens. See what the other person does. See what your company does. When you're getting that inner voice to do this, and you sit back and wait, it's a risk. It's a risk. And the risk of that is, and you may be perfectly okay with it, is that whatever you're considering leaving will more than likely leave you before you get a chance to leave it. And sometimes people deal with regret, or they harbor guilt and regret and sadness over just the idea of being left or rejected or fired. And at the end of the day, you were the one that created that situation. I fully and 100% have experienced that many, many times, to the point where it's like slapping me in the face. Well, I'm just going to wait it out and see what happens. When my inner voice is telling me to go, now I listen to it. You know, in the last couple of years, I listened to it. In the last 10 years, not so much. And, you know, but each time that something left me, it became less and less of a surprise because I recognize that feeling. I recognize that, you know, that inner, whatever that is, your intuition, that intuition, when it starts talking to you about something not being right for you, holy cow, listen to it, because it's only going to get louder. And as it gets louder, you might try to fight it more. You might try to convince yourself, well, it's not that bad. Well, you know, I don't want to be without a paycheck. Well, I don't want to have to move back home. To me, you know, in my earlier years, you know, that was like the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario was the thought of not having that specific paycheck every week. Or God forbid, you know, I would have to sell my house. Or God forbid, I would have to move back home. That was a huge fear for me. So I stayed in things, relationships and jobs, that were not good. Way too long. And some of you that reach out to me for personal readings that, you know, are in your late 20s, early 30s, you're young. You're young. Don't get wrapped up and stuck in something that takes you all the way into your, you know, into your 40s, because that can happen. And sometimes that's meant to happen. Sometimes that's meant for people. That's how they learn lessons. So, you know, nothing I'm going to say is going to change that, okay? But just be mindful that if you have a path that you want to be on, as far as family especially, or children, when this starts talking to you, when you're hearing walk away, it's because the universe knows the path that you want to be on. That's why you need to listen to that intuition, no matter how unpleasant it might be. Okay? So, let's see. What else? Queen of Pentacles. You know, it's interesting because this card came up here and this card came up here. I want to say maybe for Taurus. I don't know. But Queen of Pentacles, card of Capricorn. this is about authenticity. It's like who you authentically are, what you authentically want, what you authentically love doing. If you're walking away from something, it's because there's something within you that doesn't authentically love it anymore, that doesn't authentically want to be in that situation or in that relationship, because it's stifling to you in some way. It doesn't allow you to grow the way you need to grow. That's why we have intuition, is to divert out of situations or out of paths that aren't serving us. What else? 10 of Swords. So the worst betrayal is the betrayal that you do to yourself. Okay? There's the potential for you to betray yourself by not listening to your intuition. You know, and you will, either way, you'll walking away might be hard, but staying will ultimately be harder if you have that inner voice that's telling you to leave. And this, you know, could be the outcome. This could be the experience that you have. Something that could have been prevented by doing something today could prevent this 3 years from now. And nothing is worse than knowing that you should have done something 3 years ago and you waited, or you were just waiting to see what happens, waiting to see what the other person does, waiting to see if the other person, you know, steps up. There's a reason you're having that voice. What else do we have? Page of Pentacles. Why are you getting this voice? Because there is a new opportunity. There's that pentacle. There's a new opportunity in the physical world. A lot of times, the reason that, you know, people, there's a practical reason why people don't quit their jobs when they don't have another job, right? But actually, it's probably the best thing they could do. And the reason is because a lot of times the new opportunity does not show up until the door on the old opportunity or the old situation is closed. And that's why people also get stuck in relationships. Because, you know, they hang on, they text a little bit, a month goes by, nobody says anything, and then suddenly a text shows up, the door is opened up again. Do you text back? Do you call? Is this what you really want? Or does the attention just happen to make you feel good in the moment? All right, so let's see what we have here. We've got, this is a message from the universe for you. Ask wonderfully, receive graciously. Well, this is interesting. What is right here? That looks like an 8, right? 8 of Cups. This is also the infinity symbol. So it's like if you don't walk away fully, you'll be right back on the path to repeat. Ask wonderfully, receive graciously. So if there's something that you know that you have to leave behind, I feel like what this is saying is ask the universe what your next step is. It's amazing how the universe will answer you. And that might be, you know, you might call that God or source. But if you ask and surrender, you ask the question, what's next for me? What do I need to do in this situation? The universe will answer. And then receive that answer graciously, meaning don't discard it. Accept what the answer is, because you'll know it when you see it. Okay, so what's the lesson here? Friendship. Love it. So the lesson is, I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. So there might be somebody special in your life. It might be, might be romantic. It might not be. But it feels like friendship, in some way, a certain person might be vital for you. But I would say that they're not vital to you until you've left behind whatever it is that you need to leave behind. That's when I feel like this comes into play. There might be a lesson about true friendship in the month of the month of February for you. Somebody might go out of their way to help you and support you. I have lived the majority of my life living alone. So when somebody does something like that, I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed that somebody goes out of their way for me. I appreciate it like more than you can imagine. But some people don't. But I feel like there's something about friendship, that there's somebody in your life that truly, truly has your best interest in mind and supports you. And may know that you are facing a difficult situation. Nothing feels better, honestly, at the end of the day than being authentic to who you really are and what it is that you really want. And anytime you're staying in something, whatever it is, and I'm being very general in these readings for a reason, because it can apply in a lot of different ways. But anytime you stay in something that is whispering to you to get out of, you're not being authentic on some level. And that means you're not being authentic to you, and you're not being authentic to the universe and your path in the universe. So you're kind of messing it up for everybody, because when you go off path, that affects literally everybody. And you can see that happening in the world right now. And I'm going to be very general about any statement I make about that. But you can see what happens when people aren't authentic, when people aren't truthful. Our culture is becoming more chaotic. But ultimately, everything happens for our higher good. And I feel like sometimes we got to go through chaotic, crazy periods in order to get to the better stuff, right? What else do we have here? Romance, retreat. For some of you, this is a strong message about getting out of something. Gemini. It's time to disconnect from the world. Now, the word retreat obviously can mean you can do that on your own. It might mean that, the two people that we see here, it might mean that you take a weekend getaway with somebody that you're on the fence about, and you give it 100% and really decide, is this what I really want? Is this what's best for both of us? And if it's not, if your little voice keeps talking to you, then you know what you need to do. All right, so we're going to clarify a couple cards here. We're going to clarify the Eight of Cups. We're going to clarify the Queen of Pentacles, and we're going to clarify the Page of Pentacles. All right, Eight of Cups clarified. Look at this. I mean, could it be any more clear? Five of Pentacles. This is saying, if you don't leave something behind, it is going to leave you. And you already know that because your intuition and that little voice is saying exactly that. Queen of Pentacles clarified by Three of Wands. Getting very clear on what you want, what your expectations are, and being able to say it. And be comfortable with saying it to whoever is listening. You know, I want somebody who wants to get married and actually have kids. I want somebody that doesn't thrive in drama situations. I want somebody that maybe isn't married. Okay? Page of Pentacles clarified by the Fool. Okay? The Fool is saying it's okay to have faith in the unknown, because anytime you surrender to the universe, ask wonderfully, receive graciously, anytime you surrender to the universe will guide you and will put the right people in front of you at the right time. Will create situations for you that maybe you never thought of. Trusting God, trusting the universe with new opportunities. Just because, you know, there might be a job or a person that you still sort of like. So it doesn't mean that the job has to be all bad. Doesn't mean that the person that you're dealing with has to be all bad. But there's something saying to you, get off this ride. Retreat. And ask for support from the universe while you do it. And everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Okay? Because you don't want to have this. You don't want to have this. And so many times when I do certain personal readings, it's all about regret, all about why somebody might have left them, why, whatever it is. But if they had taken those steps when their intuition was telling them to take those steps, they wouldn't deal with this. Because I can't just say to people, well, let this go. Don't worry about it. Even though that's true. No, this is what haunts people. This person never spoke to me again. I don't know what I did. They just left. Well, your intuition was probably telling you that that person wanted to go. On some level. As hard as that might be to hear. Okay? All right. Gemini, that is what I have for you. All right? So if you are looking for a deeper, more personal reading, please reach out. This isn't for everybody. Okay? So let's be clear about that. It's a general reading. So sometimes I tap into a bigger part of the collective. Sometimes I tap into a smaller part of the collective. So this may not be for you. Okay? I should be saying that more often. Okay? I assume that people know that, but I know that some people don't. So just realize that this may not be for you. All right? All right. All right. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time. All right. Bye.